Waitress discovers hidden family legacy. Grandma's heartwarming revelation about their birthmark. In a small diner in the heart of Philadelphia, where the clattering of plates and happy chatter mingled like a comforting symphony, 23-year-old Sarah juggled her daily routine, dancing between tables with a smile that masked her burdens. She poured coffee, served up pancakes, and listened to the dreams of patrons, each bite a slice of home. But beneath the surface, she bore the weight of responsibility, striving to keep the flickering dreams of her family alive. Her overworked mother and younger siblings depended on her every shift, every hour spent hustling. One afternoon, spent amidst the warm glow of the diner, Sarah received unexpected news. She had inherited her late grandmother's dilapidated house. The moment she stepped into its dusty interior, she was enveloped in memories and history. During her first exploration of the attic, her eyes fell on a weathered box tucked away in a corner, the dust swirling like whispers from the past. With trembling hands, she opened it, revealing faded family photos, crinkled letters, and a brown leather-bound journal. As her fingers traced the pages of her grandmother's journal, words leaped to life, revealing struggles, loneliness, yet also resilience, a legacy of secrets that felt hauntingly familiar. There it was, a birthmark, passed down through generations, once seen as a flaw, now unveiled as a symbol of strength, connection, and heritage. Each entry spoke of overcoming, of carrying the family's hopes like a torch against the shadows of hardship. Her heart raced. Could something so small hold such power? In that moment, something shifted deep within her. Life's relentless challenges pressed in. A flicker of hope ignited within, entangled with fear and doubt. Was she ready to embrace this newfound connection? But could she bear the burden of revealing such a truth to her family, whose dreams were already laid heavy upon her shoulders? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As Sarah dug deeper into the journal, she felt the walls of her existence shift. Her community, the very foundation she'd leaned on, suddenly felt like a maze filled with judgment and misunderstanding. Friends rolled their eyes when she expressed dreams of pursuing further education. Peers belittled her hopes with snickers as she poured their coffee. Each laugh felt like another weight added to her already heavy heart. That night, weary as she was, she returned to the diner, clutching the journal like a lifeline. The disputes, the resentments laid bare within the pages cut her deeply, revealing that even the strongest of bonds can fracture under silence. But just as despair threatened to swallow her, a fellow waitress, brimming with kindness and understanding, sparked something in Sarah, challenging her to step beyond her perceived boundaries and confront her past. In that moment of clarity, she faced a choice that felt monumental. Should she risk everything she knew, unearthing family secrets, or bury her newfound understanding deep, keeping her family's fragile harmony intact? Her pulse quickened. The words of the journal echoed in her mind. With a shaky breath, Sarah clutched it tightly, caught in the crossfire of legacy and loyalty. Would she forge a new path for herself and her family, or slip back into the shadows, wrapped snugly in the comfort of familiarity? The question lingered in the air, charged with possibility and the weight of destiny, leaving a yearning for the next step that would define her story. The next day, the air in the diner felt different. It was as if the walls whispered secrets as the sunlight streamed through the windows, illuminating the dust motes dancing in the beams. Sarah's heart was still racing from the night before. The journal lay heavy in her bag, a reminder of her grandmother's voice urging her to explore what it meant to bear such a legacy. Yes, she stacked plates at the back of the diner. Her thoughts spiraled. What would it mean to share this newfound truth with her family? Her younger siblings looked up to her, relying on her strength to keep their lives steady. Her mother was already worn thin, drowning in years of unspoken worries. Would revealing this birthmark shift their understanding of who they were, or would it only deepen their pain? Hey, you good? Emily, her fellow waitress, approached, concern etched across her face. Sarah looked up, forcing a smile. Yeah, just a lot on my mind. Did you find anything interesting in that old house? Emily leaned in, curious. The temptation to confide in her bubbled just beneath the surface. But Sarah held back. Just some old stuff. Nothing worth mentioning. She didn't want Emily to see the storm roiling within her. As the busy lunch rush came and went, Sarah fought against her internal struggle. Each laugh and friendly banter from customers felt like a safety net, but it frayed with every passing hour. She had spent her life sweeping her family's struggles under a rug of normalcy. The journal's words echoed relentlessly, reminding her that their struggles were part of who they were. Maybe being open about her heritage would release them from the shackles of silence that bound them. But what if it shattered everything? Later that evening, after the diner closed, Sarah sat at the edge of her grandmother's old armchair in the dim light of her home. The journal lay open on her lap. Fear leaked into her veins as she scanned the passages again. Hidden within those pages were glimmers of triumph and despair that felt too heavy to carry alone. Shouldn't her mother know this? Wasn't it their legacy to embrace and celebrate together? A sudden knock on the door startled her. It was her mother, weary from a long day, but ready to help with the evening chores. Sarah's heart sank. "Mom," she began, hesitating as she stood, clutching the journal tightly. "There is something I need to talk to you about." Her mother raised an eyebrow, suspicion glimmering in her tired eyes. "What is it?" "I found something." Sarah took a breath, the words tangling in her throat. She wanted to share what she had learned, to show her mother that they could be more than just survivors of hardship. She wanted them to walk toward their shared history unburdened. But her mother was already shaking her head, sensing the gravity of the moment. "Sarah, whatever it is, we need to focus on keeping everything together. We don't need more distractions." Disappointment swept through her like a cold wind. Sarah felt the familiar weight of duty settle on her shoulders, pushing her back into the shadows she had desperately tried to escape. As her mother turned away, Sarah felt a surge of determination. Maybe her choice was not just about revelations. It was about breaking the cycle. She needed to make this leap for them all. She hurried to follow her mother, words tumbling out as her heart raced. "Mom, what if we can change everything?" But as her mother turned, bewildered, the fear in her eyes pierced through Sarah. Change was a daunting word, especially for those who had learned to only survive. Would she find the courage to fight for this new path? Or would she retreat back into the silence that had defined their lives for so long? The question hung in the air, a shadow over their fragile existence. And Sarah knew with certainty that the answer lay just within reach, if only she could summon the strength to grasp it. The silence thickened as Sarah's words hung heavy between them. Her heart beat like a drum, each thud echoing the urgency of her plea. She could see the walls around her mother start to rise, the protective barriers instinctively shielding the vulnerable part of their lives that had been shaped by loss and silence. "Sarah, please." Her mother's voice was strained, filled with a mix of exhaustion and worry. The disappointment weighed down upon them both like a dense fog. "We can't afford to think about what-ifs right now. We have to focus on what we have." "You don't get it, Mom." Sarah burst out, her voice trembling. "This could mean everything. We are more than just survivors. We're part of something bigger, something beautiful. It could help us heal." Her mother turned fully, tears glistening in her eyes. In that moment, she looked so small and weary, like she was crumbling under the weight of years filled with struggle. "What do you think it will change?" she asked, voice brittle. "After everything we've been through, you think one story will heal us?" In Sarah's chest, the ache deepened. She wanted to scream that it wasn't just one story. It was a thread connecting their past to their present, a bridge over a chasm of hurt. But no words came. Instead, she felt the pull of fear creep back in, threatening to silence her. Sarah stepped closer, her voice softening. "Mom, what if this story is the key? What if there is something here that helps us understand ourselves better? It's not just about ghosts of the past. It's about finding our way out of the shadows." Her mother looked down, the floor suddenly more interesting than the conversation at hand. "We've made it this far. Sarah, maybe it's enough. But is it?" Sarah felt the dizzying swell of frustration. "Is it really enough to just get by? Don't you want to know more? About the birthmark, about the legacy? About who we are?" For a moment, the air crackled with unspoken thoughts, voices trapped in their throats. and Sarah began to see the glimmers of a fight sparking in her mother's eyes. Maybe this was the moment, this raw, trembling moment where they could start breaking free from the past. With a shaky breath, her mother finally met her gaze. What if it opens old wounds? What if knowing everything makes it harder for us? And what if it makes us stronger? Sarah countered. What if it shows us we're not alone in this? I found hope in those pages. Mom, let us find it together. There was a long pause, pregnant with indecision. The tension hung over them like a thick mist, but in Sarah's heart, a flicker of hope ignited. Maybe her mother was beginning to see what she saw, the chance for a clean slate, for understanding and acceptance. Finally, her mother sighed deeply, the weight of her shoulders lessening just a touch. Fine, let us just peek, okay? But just a peek. The smile that broke across Sarah's face felt like the first rays of sun after a long, cold winter. She could feel the tension shifting, the possibilities unfolding like the pages of the journal before her. Thank you, Mom, she whispered, a wave of relief washing over her as they settled down together. Sarah opened the journal, ready to dive into the tangled threads of their family's past. Every turn of the page held the promise of revelation. But, as she read the words aloud, a sense of foreboding unfurled. The words seemed to whisper truths that could just as easily expose deep family secrets. What hidden truths lay waiting within those fragile pages? Would they be able to shoulder the burden of their family's legacy, or would it become too heavy to bear? As the night deepened, the questions loomed larger, and Sarah's heart raced at the thought of what lay ahead. As Sarah flipped the fragile pages, a hush enveloped the room. The faint scent of old paper wafted up, a reminder of the stories waiting to be told. The journal was filled with handwritten entries, some scrawled hastily, others penned with deliberate care. Her fingers traced the delicate cursive as she read aloud the first lines. To my beloved family, the story of our past is a treasure hidden beneath the scars of time. Her mother leaned in, the piercing curiosity momentarily breaking through her guarded demeanor. What does it say? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. It's about our family, Sarah replied, her own voice trembling. It talks about the birthmark, our legacy. Each word felt like a thread tugging at her heart, pulling her closer to a truth she had never fully understood. Mom, listen to this, she continued, her excitement spilling over. It says the birthmark was a symbol of strength passed from generation to generation, a mark of resilience. Her mother's eyes glistened with tears again, but this time, they held something more, a hint of wonder mixed with the pain of what was lost. I always thought it was just a coincidence, she said softly, her voice wavering. Something that happened to us by chance. No, Mom, Sarah interjected, her heart racing as she flipped the pages eagerly. It's more than that. It's part of something bigger. Here, it mentions how Grandma used to talk about how it meant we were loved, chosen for something special. The weight of those words hung in the air, imbuing the room with a warmth that felt almost tangible. A smile broke through her mother's somber expression, illuminating the shadows of doubt that had lingered too long. Did you know this? Sarah pressed, searching her mother's face for answers. Did Grandma ever tell you? Her mother shook her head slowly, still absorbing the weight of the revelation. No, she never spoke of it. Maybe she thought I wouldn't understand. But we can understand. Sarah's voice quivered with hope. We can reclaim this story, make it ours. We can heal, Mom. Look at all this courage that runs in our veins. We're more than survivors. We're part of a legacy of strength. Tension crackled in the air as her mother's defenses began to crumble. They sat together, shoulders nearly touching as they leaned over the pages, the silence filled with the breathing of shared anticipation and new possibilities. Finally, the words began to flow once more, revealing snippets of their family's history, tales of heartbreak intertwined with triumph, of dreams forgotten but awaiting revival. As they turned page after page, Sarah began to feel a growing sense of urgency, her pesky fears momentarily quieted by a swell of joy. Each entry peeled back layers of their family's history, exposing scars that could finally be healed by understanding. It was a tender dance of grief and love, intertwined with the truth they had spent years avoiding. Then, as they reached towards the final entries, her voice faltered. A passage caught her eyes, the ink slightly smudged. She leaned closer to read, her heart pounding as she whispered, It says here there's a mystery behind the birthmark, something about a promise and a secret that could change everything. Her mother's breath hitched, the weight of curiosity pulling them both forward. What secret? She asked, eyes wide with apprehension. Before Sarah could answer, the lights flickered ominously, casting unsettling shadows against the walls. A cold breeze swept through the room, sending shivers down their spines. Just as fear began to creep back in, the journal suddenly slipped from Sarah's fingers and landed open, as a frantic gust turned pages wildly, each flutter a cry for attention. Is this a sign? Sarah wondered aloud, glancing at her mother, who looked both frightened and intrigued. What if that secret is something we weren't meant to find? Her mother replied quietly, but the spark of interest in her eyes betrayed her growing intrigue. What lay in the coming pages? Were they strong enough to face the truth, whatever it might hold? A new answer loomed before them, but would they be ready to embrace the beautiful chaos of their legacy? Sarah's heart raced as she took a deep breath, the air thick with anticipation. She steadied herself, gathering the courage to turn the page. Let us see what it says, she murmured, both eager and anxious. Her mother's fingers rested on the edge of the journal, as if it were a fragile treasure that might slip away again. Promise me we'll stop if it gets too much, she said, her voice trembling. I promise. But we have to know, Sarah replied, forcing a smile to mask her own fear. The journal had already begun to weave its magic, pulling her into its narrative with every sentence. Gingerly, she turned to the next entry, the ink dark and bold against the textured page. Here we go, she said softly, her eyes scanning the words. It starts with the mark has been a beacon, guiding us through darkness and despair. It holds a promise between the living and those who left us too soon. With each word, Sarah could feel the weight of history pressing down on them, urging them to listen. The description of the birthmark as a beacon rang painfully familiar, evoking memories of late-night stories told by Grandma when they huddled close, always trying to keep the shadows at bay. Mom, Sarah whispered, glancing up. Do you remember how Grandma used to say we were always watched over? That no matter what happened, we were never truly alone? This makes sense. Her mother nodded, her expression a mixture of nostalgia and pain. I thought she was just trying to comfort us, but maybe that wasn't all of it. They continued, driven by curiosity. An entry promised exploration, reminiscing about how past generations faced trials with the birthmark as their rallying point. Stories of resilience poured onto the pages, details of loss balanced against moments of joy. It was a portrait of their ancestors, vibrant and alive, yet marked by tragedy. As the words unfurled, Sarah felt an unexpected warmth settle over her heart. Each account revealed a family fierce and unyielding, forged in the fires of hardship. With every story, she could sense the echoes of laughter and tears, the spirit of women who kept fighting no matter how heavy their burdens. Then they stumbled upon a section that caused Sarah to freeze. Here, it's almost like a letter, she said, her voice shaky as she read aloud. To my dearest descendants, know that the birthmark you carry is not just a mark. It is a pact that ties you to me, to your two great-grandmothers. A promise made when your lives were forged in tragedy. But it holds another secret, one that may alter your fate. Another secret? Her mother gasped, her eyes widening in shock. What do you mean, alter our fate? The journal pages fluttered as if urging her to continue, to unveil the truth, but Sarah hesitated, a knot of fear tightening in her stomach. She glanced at her mother, whose expression mirrored her own curiosity laced with dread. Do we dare find out what it is? Sarah asked, her heart pounding in solidarity with her mother's indecision. Before they could decide, the lights flickered again, a harsh reminder of the uncertainty swirling around them. A crackle of static broke through the silence, and suddenly, sounds from the next room pierced the air. A voice called out, searching for them, filled with longing. Sarah, are you in there? It was her brother, his voice rife with concern. Sarah and her mother exchanged frantic glances. Would they allow the moment to slip away? What questions lingered just beyond the pages? Mom, Sarah whispered urgently, this feels like more than just a story now. If we stop here, I fear we'll never uncover what really happened, what we're truly part of. Her mother's resolve returned in a flash, determination rising in her expression. Then let us keep going. We deserve to know. Just then, the journal slipped closed with a sudden thud, a promise sealed, and a secret lurking just beneath the surface. What awaited them in the next pages? Would they find the strength to face a legacy that might change everything they thought they knew? The room felt electric, charged with the weight of unknown truths. Both Sarah and her mother tightened their grips on the journal, a shared determination illuminating their faces. It was now or never. "Let us try again," Sarah whispered, and she reached for the journal, flipping it open to the last page they had read. She took a steadying breath and began again, allowing the words to form a bridge between their past and future. "But it holds another secret one that may alter your fate." The phrase hung in the air, echoing in their minds like a rallying cry. Deep down, they both felt it, a connection that surged through their veins, binding them to those who had come before them. They stared at the page, willing the words to reveal themselves. Suddenly, the room fell silent, the vibrations of the world outside muffled. Sarah could almost hear her grandmother's voice urging them to continue. Maybe that secret could change everything for us," Sarah added, glancing up at her mother. Hope flickered like candlelight in her eyes, but it was entwined with fear. "What if we find something that we can't unsee?" Her mother nodded slowly, understanding the weight of her daughter's words. "But what if it's a way forward? Something to help us heal?" Sarah's heart raced again, but this time it was fueled by something greater than fear. It was curiosity, the promise of truth. They dove back into the entries. Each line was filled with heartfelt stories, the struggles and victories of women linked by blood, marked as a symbol not just of their heritage, but of strength. Stories of her great-grandmother, who married in a time when women's voices were often silenced, who fought for her family's survival when the world seemed bent on tearing them apart. "Look at this," Sarah exclaimed, pointing to a passage where her great-grandmother described the birthmark lovingly. "It says here that it symbolizes protection, a shield against despair. She believed it connected her to us, to the family that would rise from her struggles." Tears brimmed in her mother's eyes. "I remember Grandma saying it made her feel invincible, like hope was always within reach." But just as they were becoming lost in those memories, they came to another section, a note penned in shaky handwriting, like a last resort to be heard. "Dear descendants, the trials we faced are not just our legacy, they are your legacy as well. The secret of the birthmark lies deeper than you can imagine. There are those who wish to harness its power for their own gain. Beware." A chill raced down Sarah's spine. What does that mean? Who are they? She swallowed hard, unable to escape the sense of danger lurking behind the words. "I don't know," her mother breathed, gripping the edge of the table. "But we might be in more trouble than we thought." Their hearts pounded in an anxious rhythm as they turned the page once more, but it was blank. All the promise of the hidden narrative vanished as they stared at the empty space, and the gravity of their situation sunk in. What if we're being followed? What if Grandma's words were a warning? Sarah's voice trembled. Her mother shook her head slowly. "We can't let fear dictate our choices. It's time we face our truth and uncover the rest." Then, just as they were about to dive deeper into what they knew was a dangerous journey, the door creaked open. There stood her brother, his expression a mix of fear and determination. "Sarah, Mom, I heard you both reading. We need to talk. Something strange just happened." His words hung in the air like an ominous cloud, each heartbeat echoing the weight of uncertainty. What secret had he stumbled upon, and how would it intertwine with their unfolding story? What will they discover? Sarah wondered, her pulse quickening once more. The legacy of their birthmark was far from simple, and they were just beginning to peel back the layers. "Sarah, Mom, you have to listen to me." Jake's urgent voice sliced through the tension in the room. Both Sarah and her mother turned, their expressions mirroring confusion and worry. The journal lay open on the table, its pages still buzzing with the remnants of a revelation. "What did you find?" Sarah asked, rising to meet her brother, her heart racing. His fear made her question if they had already made a mistake by opening the journal at all. "I was outside," Jake continued, glancing back as if expecting someone to emerge from the shadows. "I saw something that felt off." He hesitated, searching for words. "Off how?" Their mom pressed, her voice edged with anxiety. "It's about the birthmark," Jake finally replied, drawing a deep breath. "A woman approached me while I was heading to practice. She asked me about our family. said she knew about the birthmark and the secret connected to it. A knot tightened in Sarah's stomach. What did you tell her? Nothing. I didn't even know who she was. Jake exclaimed, running his hands through his hair. But she seemed intense, like she was hunting for something. What do you think she wanted? Sarah asked, her mouth dry. I don't know, but she said there are people looking for us, and they want that power for themselves. Jake's eyes locked onto theirs, steeling themselves against the weight of the words. Nancy, their mother, walked to Jake and rested a reassuring hand on his shoulder, her voice low but firm. This is serious. We can't ignore it any longer. If what we read is true, then we need to understand what our grandmother was trying to warn us about. Maybe we need to find her, Sarah suggested, though her heart fluttered with doubt. Find out what she was involved in. If voices from the past are converging with our present, we can't let fear dictate our choices. We need to confront this head-on. Jake nodded, surprising them both with his sudden resolve. Let us go back to Grandma's house. There may be more clues hidden there. I'll drive, their mother declared, shooting a quick glance toward the window, as if expecting the mysterious woman to appear at any moment. The three of them rushed outside, nature swirling around them with an unsettling calm. The sun hung in the sky, casting long shadows that felt warped. In the car, silence enveloped them, thick and charged, each of them lost in their thoughts. The weight of their lineage pulsated between them, a strange power thrumming through the as they pulled up to Grandma's house. Memories flooded back afternoons spent laughing over stories, the scent of freshly baked pies, and the warmth of a family united under one roof. But now, every creak of the old house felt ominous, as if it held not just cherished memories, but dark secrets as well. Okay, let us search for anything our grandmother may have left behind, Nancy urged, breaking the spell. They moved through the rooms carefully, examining every nook. Each drawer they opened felt like peeling away a layer of their family history. Then Sarah spotted a small, ornate box on the mantel, partially hidden beneath a dusty scarf. With shaking hands, she pulled it down. The lid creaked open to reveal a collection of photographs, letters, and trinkets that all bore the same birthmark symbol etched into their designs. What if these are all connected? Jake murmured, peering over her shoulder as they sifted through the contents. Sarah's heart raced. On the bottom of the box lay a faded photograph of a woman with the same birthmark, but the resemblance was uncanny. This could be our great-great-grandmother, she breathed. Suddenly, a loud knock echoed through the house, jolting them back to the present. The door rattled on its hinges, and fear coursed through Sarah's veins. Who could that be? Her mother asked, panic rising in her voice. Jake moved to the door, glancing back at his family. We need to find out. As he reached for the doorknob, each of them held their breath, pulses racing. What awaited them on the other side? Would they discover the truth they sought, or would they find an adversary, ready to hunt them down for their legacy? The door swung open, and there stood a figure cloaked in shadow, a stranger with intentions unknown, ready to unravel the secrets of their birthright. The figure at the door slowly emerged from the shadows, revealing a woman, her long black coat enveloping her like a protective shroud. Wisps of dark hair framed a face that could have been mistaken for one of their own, but the intensity in her eyes sent a jolt of unease through the room. Who are you? Jake's voice was steadier than he felt, but he didn't shy away as he faced the stranger. Names don't carry much weight when it comes to secrets, she replied, her voice a soft hum, almost melodic, yet laced with tension. But I'm here because I need your help. Sarah's heart quickened. Help? From who exactly? The woman scanned the room, her gaze resting on the ornate box on the table. You found it, haven't you? The legacy your grandmother left behind? Who are you? Nancy demanded. What do you know about our grandmother? The woman took a step forward, almost as if drawn by the very energy of the items scattered on the table. Your grandmother was part of something extraordinary. She kept the history of your family hidden for a reason. What reason? Jake pressed, fists clenched at his sides. The birthmark, she replied, lowering her voice as though the walls might be listening. It's not just a simple mark. It's a symbol of power, a lineage that draws interest from those who want to wield it. Fear coiled in Sarah's gut. So the woman Jake saw, she was looking for the mark? Exactly, the woman confirmed, her eyes narrowing. Because the power comes at a price. And if they find you first, They will stop at nothing to get it. What do you want from us? Nancy asked, worry etched on her face. The woman straightened, her determination clear. Your family must stand together. If you don't take charge of your legacy, it could fall into the wrong hands. You must understand who you are. What do we have to do? Jake asked, no longer willing to hide from the weight of the situation. The woman hesitated for just a moment. You need to find the forgotten codex. It holds the answers to your grandmother's past and the means to protect your future. The codex? Sarah echoed, her mind racing with thoughts of what it could contain. Where do we find it? It won't be easy, the woman warned. It's hidden, scattered across the memories of your family. But I can guide you. I've been searching for years. You're more than just victims in this, you're guardians, whether you like it or not. Before they could respond, a low rumble of thunder echoed outside, signaling a storm brewing. The stranger's presence felt electric, charged with urgency. What will it cost us? Nancy asked, her resolve hardening. Truth, the woman replied. You must accept the truth of your family's past, no matter how painful it may be. That is the only way to uncover what lies ahead. Jake exchanged glances with Sarah and their mother, the weight of their legacy beginning to settle into their bones. This path was fraught with danger, but it might be their only chance to reclaim their past and protect their future. Okay, Sarah said, her voice steady despite the tremors of fear. We'll do it, whatever it takes. The woman's lips curved into a small smile, pride mingling with a hint of caution. Then let us begin. Time is not on our side. Before they could step forward, another loud knock thundered against the door, shaking the frame and the very core of their courage. Quickly, the woman urged. We aren't alone here. As they turned to face the door, nerves electrified the air once more. Who else was out there? What if the moment of truth would come crashing down on them before they were ready? They stood together, hearts pounding, ready to fight for their legacy, even as the storm outside mirrored the turmoil inside. What would they face once they opened the door this time? Would it be allies, or the very adversaries they had feared? The sound of the knock echoed in the room, a deep thud that sent Jake's heart racing. He could feel the tension in the air, thick with uncertainty. What do we do? He whispered urgently, his eyes darting to the woman. Stay close to me, the woman instructed, her voice steady but low. We can't let them in until we understand who they are. Sarah's breath quickened, and she clutched her mother's arm tightly. What if it's them? What if they found us? Nancy's expression turned pale. We can't let them take us by surprise. We have to hold our ground. The pounding continued, relentless and insistent, almost as if it knew the urgency of the moment. This is not the time for hesitation, the woman urged. You must be ready. Ready for what? Jake's pulse thundered in his ears. How can we be ready when we don't even know who's on the other side? Ready to protect your legacy, the woman replied sharply. The moment you opened that box, everything changed. Your family's power is a beacon, and there are those who will come hunting for it. Nancy shot her son a worried glance. Should we call the police? The woman shook her head. No one can protect you like you can protect yourselves. Trust your instincts. As another knock reverberated through the room, Sarah's mind raced. She felt the weight of her grandmother's legacy like a heavy blanket draped over her shoulders. What if the codex is already in danger? What if they're here for it? The urgency of the storm outside intensified, thunder rumbling like a beast waking from slumber. With each successive knock, fear swallowed them a little more. Jake couldn't shake the thought that the time for action was drawing near. His gut twisted as he approached the door. I think I should look, he decided, though doubt coursed through him. Jake, wait. Sarah grabbed his wrist. What if it's a trap? They'll get in eventually, we need to know who they are. The woman stepped in closer, tilting her head. This is a moment of choice. You can face the unknown together or let fear force you apart. Jake took a deep breath, his resolve hardening. On 3, he announced, his voice low but firm. 1, 2, 3. With a quick motion, he flung the door open, revealing a figure standing in the pouring rain, their silhouette partially obscured by storm-driven shadows. The figure straightened, and Jake blinked in surprise. It was a man, drenched and wild-eyed, his face etched with desperation. Help, I need help. They're coming. Who's coming? Nancy's voice was steadier than she felt. What do you know about our family? They're looking for you all, the man gasped, glancing over his shoulder as if the very darkness had teeth. Your grandmother, she was involved in something dangerous. I can't explain now, but if you don't come with me, it will be too late. Panic rose like the tide in Jake's chest, washing over the fragile hope they had just begun to build. Was this another trap? Or was it their chance to uncover the truth? Jake, what do we do? Sarah asked, eyes wide with fear. Trust him or let fear rule us, the woman reminded them, her expression a mix of concern and fierce determination. The storm howled louder, and Jake's heart raced. Let us go with him, he said, his voice steady. We have to know the truth, no matter the cost. With a shared look, the siblings and Nancy stepped forward, all too aware that they were chasing something that might change everything, something that could either save them or destroy them. The rain washed over them, and as they stepped out into the storm, the air crackled with uncertainty. What truths would they uncover? And at what price? Just then, the sound of footsteps behind them made their blood run cold. The chase had only just begun. Who had followed them into the storm? And would they find the answers they desperately sought? The rain poured in sheets, a torrent that matched the chaos inside their hearts. Sarah, Jake, and their mother stood at the edge of the storm, with the stranger, this desperate man, beckoning them into the dark, seething night. Every instinct screamed for caution, but something deep within urged them to move forward. Fate had dragged them here, and they felt the gravity of their legacy pulling them into its embrace. Quickly, there's no time to waste, the man urged, glancing over his shoulder as if the shadows themselves were closing in. He led them through the storm, the streets slick with rain and worry. Lightning cracked overhead, illuminating their path with brief flashes of eerie light. Who are you? And what do you know about our grandmother? Sarah called out, struggling to keep pace. The man looked back, his expression haunted, eyes wide and wild as if he had seen far too much. I'm someone who knows what she was protecting, he said, urgency spilling from every word. Your grandmother was part of a circle that bound families like yours together, a network meant to guard these secrets. He hesitated, the weight of those words hanging heavy in the humid air. What secrets? Nancy asked, bracing herself against the stinging rain. The path felt treacherous, with every step echoing the dangers that loomed just beyond their vision. That he turned, and they could see the unease etched into his features. The codex, it keeps the balance. It holds ancient power that draws those who seek to exploit it. They're coming for you because you're its next guardians. Sarah's heart hammered in her chest, each beat a reminder of the responsibility she never knew she wanted. As they navigated through alleyways, they felt the storm surrounding them mirror the turmoil of their thoughts. Jake's mind raced. What if their family's legacy wasn't just a burden, but a chance to rewrite their story, to transform their pain into power? Before long, the man led them to a hidden entrance, a door shrouded in ivy and darkness. This is it, he whispered, urgency creeping into his voice. Inside is where you'll learn the truth. He turned to look at them, his features softened by the realization of what lay ahead. You must confront your past to protect your future. Are we ready for this? Sarah asked her brother and mother, anxiety swirling within her. But within that anxiety was also a flicker of hope, a belief that they could embrace their legacy instead of being consumed by it. We need to do this together, Jake replied, his conviction settling over them like a warm blanket. Nancy nodded, squeezing her children's hands tightly. With a final deep breath, they stepped inside, where the damp air held a weight of ancient stories waiting to be unveiled. Flickering lanterns illuminated shelves lined with scrolls and dusty books. The soft buzz of magic hovered, pressing against their skin and surrounding them like a hug from generations past. Keep an open mind, the man said, leading them deeper into the room. What you're about to learn could change everything. As they explored, they found a desk cluttered with handwritten notes, sketches of the birthmark, and clues leading to a deeper understanding of their family history. Look at this, Jake exclaimed, pointing at a drawing depicting the birthmark linked to a family tree intertwined with rich histories. There, the man said, urgency in his voice. You're the successors. As long as you embrace your lineage, that mark will protect you. With each discovery, Sarah felt a surge of connection, unearthing pieces of their story buried for too long. Truth washed over her, deeper than rain. They learned of the trials and triumphs of women before them, beings marked by more than mere genetics, an unbreakable bond that wove them together through love and resilience. But why now? Nancy asked, determined to grasp the gravity of their revelations. Why is it so urgent? The man's face darkened. Because there are others who want to use the codex for their gain. They believe it grants them control over the power of the birthmark. They'll stop at nothing to seize it. Fear gripped Sarah, but beside it brimmed something else: solidarity. It wasn't just her burden, it was theirs together. Then we'll stand as a family, she declared, uncertainty melting away. Together, we'll fight for our heritage, our legacy. Through every intricately connected story, each entry that spoke of strength and unity, they felt fortified. They were not just remnants of the past, they were the torchbearers of a future that could be brighter than the shadows of what once was. Their footsteps echoed behind them. They turned to see the door fly open, rain cascading in. The ominous figure of the woman from earlier stood silhouetted against the storm's fury. "I found you," she said, her voice carrying both threat and promise. "Protect yourselves," the man urged. The storm was raging outside, but their hearts steadied. They were ready to embrace the dance of legacy and courage, to call upon the strength that coursed through their veins. They were born to rise, and they wouldn't back down. As the figures closed in, the fire of unity surged within them, igniting hope and determination. They were poised on the precipice of the unknown, fear replaced by strength, ready to transform their story. And together, they would uncover every truth that awaited them, every piece of their family's legacy. But now, the stakes were higher than ever. They would not let their story end in fear. It was time to reclaim their destiny. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and feelings about the ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait, not even one more second to share. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.